get it. Stay on my grizzly, killing competition. Killing competition. I want it all on focus. Let's go and get it. Go and get it. Set them focus, say let's go and get it. Killing competition. I'm all about it. Spin that bread and make it back. Ain't worried about competition. Put them on cardiac, popping bottles and all of that. You know I'm all.
All right, welcome to the Jeff Mayweather Show. My name is Alex Iserman, and I'm joined by the very lovely, the very talented, the beautiful, the incredibly intelligent Jeff Mayweather and Ashley Ferrara. How you guys doing tonight?
I was better before that introduction.
Yes, I don't know about that. That's more like for Ashley, not for me.
Well, you know, I gotta try to boost Jeff's ego the best I can, Ashley. You know, I'm sure you get it enough. So we'll just pretend, you know, that Jeff's in, you know what he is. So we'll do what we can to boost that ego.
Yeah.
Well, he thinks he has great hair, so that is a plus.
That's right. You just saw the 10 random questions with Jeff and Jay Leon. What'd you think about that?
I did. They were pretty funny. I liked how he picked himself as an up-and-comer. And as we were talking about earlier, you got to believe in yourself if anybody's going to. So I thought that was pretty funny.
That's right. All right, we got a great show tonight. Just call Larry Holmes. We're gonna bring him on in a few minutes. We interrupted his dinner, so we're gonna call him back in a few minutes, and he'll be joining with us, the legend himself. And then in about 15 minutes, we're also gonna be joined by a current heavyweight out there, Johnathon Banks, who just had to pull out of his fight with Seth Mitchell due to a broken thumb. So he'll be joining us here just shortly. Stay tuned for that. In the meantime, I guess we'll kill a few minutes here and talk about what's going on, Jeff. You know, the latest news, or lack of news, I guess, with your nephew. What's going on with that? Anything new that you can report?
Nope. I'm just like everyone else. No one knows. I don't know either.
You know, the one thing a lot of people are curious about, because, you know, like, and I interviewed you the other day, and then that story got picked up quite a bit. What exactly is your relationship with your nephew? I mean, you seem to know a lot of things, but you don't really. So, I mean, are you in the loop? Are you not in the loop? What exactly is your status with your nephew?
I mean, my nephew is fine. I mean, I talk to him.
No, I don't mean how you get along. I just mean like in a professional level.
That is a professional level. Just because I'm not telling you who he's fighting, that has nothing to do with anything.
No, so you do know that.
I talked to my nephew. He was at the gym yesterday, and I talked to him. Yeah, but I mean,
no, but did they?
I talked to him about business.
Yeah. So I mean, is he just someone? You know, are you part of his decision-making team at all, or does he like a confidant, or what exactly role do you play?
No, I mean, I don't necessarily play a role at all. I don't work for Floyd. I'm just his uncle. That's it.
Right. What's wrong with you tonight, Jeff? Well, he's not giving us much, Ashley, is he? He's killing me here.
Well, no, he's just upset. He's upset because he saw how mean you were being to me earlier. He told me who his nephew's fighting, but he just won't tell you. So maybe you should start being nice to me.
Well, I'm sure you'll tell someone an interview on some other site all about it, right? About who he's fighting. So Jeff, tell us about... What's that?
Jealousy's not a good color on you.
so Jeff, tell us a little bit about what's going on with you. I know Mo's got a fight next weekend. Are you going to stay here and then fly just before the fight, or are you going to go there a week ahead of time?
No, I'm going to go there not a week, just a few days ahead of time, maybe about 3 days ahead. And,
now, is Mo going up a whole week before? I know that the difference in the sea level there is a little higher up in the mountains. Is that a concern?
No, I don't think so. I mean, training in Vegas and in Utah is not that much different, so I think he'll be fine. And plus, the guy that he's fighting, you know, I think that, you know, especially if the fight stand up, I think that this guy has no chance against Mo.
Yeah.
You know, but
and then you got a new addition. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I said, then you got a new addition. It seems, you're to your ever-increasing stable of MMA guys. Tell us about that, the new guy you're going to be working with.
Also, the guy Ryan Martinez. He seems to have very good skills. Kind of short though, and so basically I told him that we got to develop an overhand shot, but he's also a converted southpaw, so all his power is in his lead hand. So I think that I'm gonna have to try to get him to work with him from both sides, because I mean he has a vicious right hand, but everything's in front, and like I told him, for his height, he's gonna need to throw that right hand as an overhand right, to knock some guys out. So. I'll be working with him again tomorrow. We'll work a little bit more on that.
Then in the boxing world, Ashley, I know that you're so in touch with the Oklahoma boxing scene. A guy that Jeff has trained previously, Comanche boy George, to do a nippa, or however you pronounce his last name there. He's returning to action this Friday night. Ashley, go ahead and tell us what you think about him in that fight coming up.
Well, I will just say that pretty much everybody that I know calls him Comanche Boy, because I actually don't even know how to pronounce his last name, and I have ring-carded a lot of fights for him. So, I mean, Teddy Atlas said it like 4 different ways on Friday Night Fights last week, so that's kind of how we know him here. He's a really nice guy. I've ring-carded a couple fights for him, and I think that it will be really good for him to be up against some tough opponent, or a tough opponent. And I think a lot of his fights have been pretty easy for him. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. And I hope everybody at the fight enjoys his entrances, because they are certainly interesting.
Now, as a ring card girl, are you obligated to at least pretend to be neutral during the fights, or do you ever find yourself cheering for somebody?
No, definitely not. I mean, you probably want to cheer for the promoter that's paying you. So the promoter that hired you for the fight, you should pretty much be cheering for their fighters, unless you have a real personal favorite.
Yeah. Now, Jeff, you worked with George before. Tell us a little about him and his skills. What you think his potential is, and what ultimately why did you stop working with him? I know you still talk to him, but what happened there?
Well, I mean, basically now it's almost as though I'm training him over the phone. He texts messages me almost every day on what he needs to work on, the things that he needs to get himself ready and prepare for the fight. I mean, George is a very, very nice guy, and I think that he actually has a great chance. A lot of people give him no chance at all. I think he has a great chance because, I mean, one thing about him is that, I mean, this guy is extremely, extremely strong. And, I mean, hopefully, I can't really say where his hands are anymore because, I mean, when I work with him, I think that he was getting a lot better, and I think he knows he was getting a lot better. And I just hope that, I mean, he gives a great showing of himself, and I think that he will. And I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the decision or win the fight, because everyone just thinks that, he has no chance at all, but I don't see it that way.
And then what else? I mean, just as far as, what's coming up this weekend, not too much. We have the Adrian Broner and Gavin Rees fight. Any thoughts on that, Jeff? I know that Broner's constantly compared to your nephew. Are those comparisons valid in any way? And do you think he's the man to take over the throne once Floyd retires?
No, definitely. I think Adrian Broner is a bona fide superstar. He has the talent. He has the charisma. It's one of those love-hate relationship type of things. You're going to have people that hate him because of his antics and, the things that he do, but you're going to have also people that appreciate his talent for what it really is, and that's, his ability to fight inside the ring. I mean, you know, even at this young age right now, he's one of the best in the world. And I don't know who he's fighting. I never heard of the guy, you know, but chances are, you know, it's someone that Broner's going to beat. And, you know, because at this point in his career, you know, I think that he probably beat some of the best guys that, you know, they could come up with. And we're not saying that those guys are world beaters, but this guy I never heard of, and if I never heard of him, that means he's probably never really done anything major. So I think that, you know, it's going to be another great performance for Broner.
And your thoughts, Ashley? You think he's got the goods to make it big?
I actually really like him. I definitely think he does. When I was ring carding the Olympic trials last year, the U.S. National Championships, he was there. And what impressed me the most about him was that he genuinely cares about the up-and-coming amateur athletes that were there, and he made a point to congratulate them all and was really just a nice guy about it. So I think that I'm definitely rooting for him, and I do find myself looking forward to seeing what he is going to do in his walkouts and what his antics are. Always entertaining, for sure.
And the last thing we'll touch on real quick, and we'll get Larry Holmes back on here. Jeff, it was made official. Nonito Donaire is going to be fighting Guillermo Rigondeaux in April 13th, New York, Radio City Music Hall. You know, it's kind of interesting to see Rigondeaux, if he's a real deal or not. Obviously, you know, one of the best amateurs of all time, 2 Olympic gold medals, you know, all that kind of stuff, all the hype. He's kind of had his ups and downs as pros. I mean, he hasn't lost, but he's looked great in some fights and very vulnerable in others. Your opinion on the fight, Jeff? You know, who do you think will win? And do you think Rigondeaux is you know, has something for him? And I don't know. You've had opinions on him before. Where do you stand on him now?
I mean, I think it's a very, very interesting fight. I think if Rigondeaux actually boxes and, you know, and sticks to his game plan, I think he has a great, great chance of upsetting Donaire. I mean, to me, I think that because he's riding the wave of Pacquiao, they've turned Nonito Donaire into a huge, huge star. I mean, he's good, but at the same time, what you just said about Rigondeaux, I see the same thing with him. I mean, you know, the expectations are high, and I mean, he's been delivering, but at the same time, he's looked very, very ordinary to me as well. And so, I mean, I think that, you know, it's a fight in which, you know, it's a pick-em fight. I mean, I think just because Donaire has the big name, everybody's going, you know, going to go his direction, and plus, what's his name, even though he had an extensive amateur background, you know, his professional record is you know, very limited. But I mean, he has mad skills, and I think that he has a great chance of outboxing them there. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's an upset, or, you know, it's one of those fights that can go either way.
Right. Ashley, I'm going to let you take over here for a minute. I want to get your thoughts on what you're burning on in the world of boxing, and talk with Jeff for a moment. I'm going to see if I can get Mr. Holmes back on here while you guys do that, okay?
Yeah, Jeff, this weekend I will actually be at Lydell Rose's fight in Oklahoma City, so I'll be sure to post some pictures on Twitter for you guys so you can see how he's doing. I'm pretty sure that he's going to win. The guy he's fighting is 6-12, so y'all said he was looking pretty good.
Well, not only that, I mean, I'll be honest, I know the guy, and the guy doesn't even really want to fight anymore. He's made himself into an opponent. He, at one point in time, the guy he had a talent to actually go somewhere in boxing. I thought he was going to actually, excel to the next level. But, I mean, it got shady. It was a little shady situation where he thought that he was going to be in this tournament. He was going to win this tournament. Along with Richard Steele, they also thought that he was going to win this tournament. So all of a sudden, I was out of town. Next thing I know, I'm no longer training him. And right after that, his career went straight downhill, like he was going down the steepest hill on the planet. He got knocked out 3 or 4 times back to back to back. And I mean, and that's just karma to me, because it happens with almost every fighter that I have that type of situation with. I mean, it seems like, I'm not saying that, of course, I'm not God, I'm not, the chosen one or anything like that, but it just seems to happen. And not only that, I mean, this kid he was just drunk. He was completely drunk a week ago. I'm talking about drunk, like, out of his mind drunk. So,
wow.
Chances are, he won't be around long. Like I said, he's just fighting for the money now. He's fighting solely for money now. He's not fighting to, to do anything. Not to try to, all of his dreams and aspirations are gone now.
Right. How hard is that to see that happen to fighters? I mean, do you still keep in touch with a lot of people that happens to, or do you hear from them ever?
No, I mean, every once in a while I run into him, and when I run into him, it's usually that situation. He's drunk, staggering, So, I mean, I don't necessarily keep in touch with him because that's not my thing.
Yeah.
I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do anything like that. So we can't even be in company, together.
Right.
Still, I've always bumped into the fighters that I used to train at one point in time, and things didn't work out. I don't try to hate on no fighter or anything like that. But basically, I just sit back and watch and see how far they're gonna go.
Yeah.
Like I said, in most cases, it's always been, they start going other directions.
Right. Well, that's kind of unfortunate. So King Mo's fight next week is in Utah, you said?
Yeah, Salt Lake City.
Oh, that'll be awesome. I've heard, I've never been to Salt Lake City, but I've heard that it is very pretty with all the snow. And we are actually getting some snow today in Oklahoma, which I'm not happy about.
I don't want no snow.
That's why you live in Vegas, right?
Yeah. But you know what? Actually, unfortunately, it's been very cold in Vegas, too. It's been really cold. Not snow,
well, see,
but, it's very cold.
Alex was trying to tell me that it was 65 today. Is he just messing with me?
Don't get me wrong. One thing about Vegas, because it's the desert, it can be 65, in the day, and especially in the middle of the day. And then, at night, it can probably get down to as low as 35.
Ugh. That does not sound fun.
Yeah.
But
I'm back, guys. Here, we're going to call Larry back in just a minute. He was in his car, said he'll be home in 5 minutes, so we're going to call him right back, and we're trying to get Johnathon Banks on here. So we'll have them both on, don't worry. And I heard you talking bad about me, Ash. I said it was 60 degrees today, not 65. It's a little cool here.
Oh, excuse me.
But no snow, unless you go to Mount Charleston.
Well, yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
So Jeff, I didn't hear what was going on there. Did you talk any about Celestino and what's going on with him? I know he's got a fight coming up in April.
Yeah, he fights April 20th. And I think he should be here probably next week. He should be here. And I've talked to him quite a bit, back and forth about, situations that he's dealing with, because of the fact that this 50 thing and 40 thing and basically now it's more like, he's not with either one of them at this point in time. He has to do his own thing because he still has to make a living. So he's basically under his own banner and under, his manager. So, and the fight's taking place in Panama, so I'm sure the fans will be real happy. And I'm sure he'll be happy. He hasn't fought in Panama in a long, long time since he was, a guy just on the rise, never fought there as a champion or anything like that. So, and unfortunately he's not champion now, but I'm sure they'll be still happy to see him fight.
All right. Now, I know it's your own fighter, and you're going to say the right thing here, but so we'll say hypothetically someone else. 37 years old, I believe Celestino is. No concern at all that over a year layoff is going to diminish his skills. Time's definitely on his side, especially when you have in the lower weight classes, heavyweights can compete usually much older, but where the speed relies so much, in the lower weight divisions, how do you think the layoff will affect them, if at all?
To be honest, I don't really think it will affect them. I mean, most of the time I can kind of, gauge Celestino once I see him in the gym. And as long as Celestino has his legs under him, Celestino is not going to get beat by anyone. He's not going to get beat by any one of those guys out there that supposedly are up and coming, that's supposed to be the best in the division. It ain't going to happen. I mean, he's that good. And I'm not just saying that because I train him. I mean, this guy, he's a phenomenal fighter. I mean, and, not just me saying it. I mean, proof is in the pudding. I mean, he's a 5-time world champion.
Right. Now, one guy that was discussed last year, and they couldn't work the details out, was a fight with him and Mikey Garcia. At the time, Garcia wasn't known nearly as much. Now, obviously in the last year, he's come quite a long way, and that fight would certainly be very interesting. Do you think that's a fight? I mean, obviously he's got this fight to get through, and then I guess you get a chance at Ponce de Leon. But do you think that's a fight now that would be very interesting, and one Celestino would be interested in?
I mean, I think Celestino will fight anyone. Fight anyone, anywhere. The only ones that have a problem are the people that's fighting him. And that's what happened with the fight with Garcia. Garcia pulled out the fight. But, of course, he went out saying, Celestino pulled out. But, no. Once he realized that they lost the bid and the fight was going to be possibly in Vegas or possibly in Panama, he pulled out the fight because he wanted the fight to be in California. And that's the real truth. But, like I said, Celestino has won 5 world championships. He didn't win one in Panama. So that tells you what type of fighter he is. He's won every title he's had on foreign soil in someone else's backyard. So that tells you how good he is.
Right. And that's actually, I was going to ask you, Ashley, if you agree with this. The one thing that aggravates the hell out of me in boxing is, it's great you can sit there and say that they pulled out, this guy pulled out, and I don't mean just in Celestino, I mean with anyone, whether it be Floyd, Manny, or that kind of thing. When it's football or baseball, who's going to play who on what date. In boxing, it's always a story of this person pulled out, that person pulled out, money was an issue, and that's just what kills me about boxing. Ashley, do you agree with that, and do you think that's really what hurts the sport overall?
Well, actually, I was just going to say that, you mentioned Ponce de Leon, and I was really upset and disappointed that the Velez fight was off because I was looking forward to that. And it really does seem, and I really don't, I don't have a great comparison, but it seems like there have been a lot of injuries lately. And that is disappointing, but when fights are canceled because of injuries, there's really nothing you can do about it. I think the thing for me is that I hope these injuries are genuine training injuries and not either tools to leverage other fights or injuries as a result of taking maybe some substances that aren't great for your body. And that's the frustrating part because the fans always want to see the fights, obviously. And at the end of the day, you will have fighters not fighting certain people because of the money. And that doesn't bother me as much because it is a business. It is how it is. And I don't really see the current market changing that much. Tapper and Golden Boy kind of don't seem to like to work with each other very much. And until that happens, we probably won't see a lot of the big fights. And, I think that is the big problem. You see the UFC, they have everybody under their purview so they can force whatever fight they want. But all these injuries lately have just been very frustrating to fans, I think. Because people who, if you book airfare or hotels or tickets, you kind of don't want to do that anymore after all these injuries.
Right. And now Jeff, clarify for me and ask you, we're both just barely out of high school, and I believe your last fight was Willie Pep's first, if I'm not mistaken, so you've been around the sport quite a while. Was it always like this, or is this kind of something that's gotten worse and worse over time?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it's gotten worse. I think what it is, I think the reality is this, is that most people that actually have never fought don't realize that every fighter, mostly their whole career, fight with injuries. Fighters don't really pull out of fights unless the injuries are severe, because fighters always go into the ring with injuries. I don't care. I know my whole career I fought with injuries. And, you know, it's basically because of the fact that it's your job, it's what you signed up for, and basically for the most part, I mean, you have that date, you have a signed contract, you meet it, you know. But I think that once you get to a certain level, it's smart to be able to say, no, I'm not going to fight like this, you know, because at the end of the day, I mean, you worked hard to get to that, you know, that position. And so, I mean, you don't think like you did when you was coming up, because when you was coming up, it didn't make no difference, because all you wanted to do was become world champion. Once you become world champion, you got to start thinking more like a business than, oh, I'm the best guy out there, I'm the toughest guy out there, because that's not what's gonna put food on your table if you go out there halfway injured, you know, or you're not even 100%. So I think that's more of what's happening, is that people, once they start to get to a certain level, they start to realize that, wait a second, I don't need to take this type of chance, you know. I mean, and especially, like I said, when you're world champion, you're getting paid enough money, so you don't have to live from fight to fight. Basically, you made enough money off your last fight, you know, hopefully enough to last you, you know, into your next fight, you know. But, you know, and I think that's what it is more than anything. You know, I mean, of course, there's also sometimes this strategic injuries, in where, of course, someone wants to take a position of someone else that may not be able to fill that void. That happens too. But I'm saying, for the most part, you know, I honestly believe that, you know, probably about 95% of the guys that are injured really are.
That's good to know. That actually gives me a lot more confidence in the sport and hearing that. So I do appreciate that perspective.
You're welcome. Where's Larry?
I guess Alex is trying to get Larry on the phone. So we do have this situation with Delvin Alexander having the bicep injury and then potentially fighting on May 4th. What do you think about that? Now, do you think that could be a strategic injury, or maybe not want to?
No, I don't think that's a
strategic
injury. I think that is a strictly business injury. If I'm going to fight some guys, I'm going to fight a guy and make $100,000, and then fight a guy that's going to make, and a guy's going to give me $3 million. Yeah, I'm gonna take that fight. I don't even care if I am injured.
That's true.
You know.
All right, guys.
That's business.
Go ahead and finish up, Jeff.
No. I'll finish.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and bring on our first guest. We're going to do reverse order tonight. We just got a hold of him. Great to have him on the show. I think we've had about every heavyweight contender on the show in the last month, Jeff. So we're going to bring on another one here. 29-1, really impressive record. Johnathon Banks, welcome to the Jeff Mayweather Show. You're on myself, Jeff Mayweather, and Ashley Ferrara.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
Good. How about yourself?
Hey, I can't complain, man.
Glad to have you, man.
All right, well, Jonathan, I guess the first thing we got to ask you, and I'm sure you've been asked a million times, but you broke your thumb recently, so how's that going? How's the healing process?
I mean, it's healing day by day. It's slow. Everything's slow motion. Excuse me. Everything's slow motion on it, but it's healing, so that's the most important part.
Right. And then you were training for a rematch with Seth Mitchell.
Yes,
going into that fight, pretty much nobody gave you a shot. You knocked him out in the second round, pretty much shocked everybody. Tell us a little about that, and then the rematch. I'm assuming that'll be remade, and you'll have that at some point. So how do you expect the second fight to go?
Well, going into the first fight, like you said, no one really gave me a shot to beat this guy. But I was confident I was confident I could win the fight. I was even confident I could knock him out. But a lot of people was under the assumption that Golden Boy and Seth Mitchell chose Johnathon Banks, but that's not how it happened. Johnathon Banks was going after Seth Mitchell for quite some time because I figured in order for me to be taken seriously, not only in boxing, but in the heavyweight division, that would have to be one of the guys I would have to fight. Not only I would have to fight him, I would have to win, and it must be an impressive win. Just to be, not to be at the top of the charts, but just to be taken seriously in boxing and the heavyweight division. And I've been seeking out that fight for quite some time. I finally got it, and I definitely was most grateful to get it. And going into the rematch, unfortunately, like you said, I broke my thumb in the gym. But once I heal up, I'll be back in the gym. Looking forward to the rematch because that's what they chose to do.
Right. Now, Jeff, I'm not sure if you actually saw the fight, but I know you were aware of it. You were you like everybody else? Did you expect Mitchell to win, and what were your thoughts on it?
No, I mean, I got a chance to see the fight, and plus, no, I didn't really expect Mitchell to win. I mean, to me, he's a guy who's been manufactured. He's a guy who's been put in this position because he has the right pedigree. He's a family man. He's a college-educated man. So, you know, everything about him is sellable. He's marketable. He's like Jackie Robinson when they brought him into the baseball. And Seth Mitchell was kind of the same thing. He's a guy who, you know, he's learning all his fighting on the job, but once he got in there with a guy who actually had a pedigree, had a, you know, extensive amateur background, and, you know, and has done great as a professional as well. You know, I mean, that was his real test. And everybody got a chance to see that just because you manufacture a guy, just because he seems to be the right guy for television, that doesn't win fights. You got to win fights in the ring.
Right. Now, Johnathon, just curious, you know, you got a impressive record. You're 29-1. Only loss was to Thomas Adamick. I want to talk about that a little bit later. But do you feel that, you know, that you were, I don't know, that you were overlooked, that people should have known who you were? And do you think that now, finally, after that performance, you know, people still, they still don't recognize you, or do you feel like you finally got the recognition you deserve?
Right. As far as getting the recognition, people that do, certain fighters feel they deserve too much recognition, some feel they don't deserve enough. I don't know. But as far as the recognition factor, I'm happy the way things are. I do believe I was overlooked in that fight. And whether I should or shouldn't have been overlooked, that's just the scale of boxing. You know, look how many, it's just, you can go on and on for different matchups. And the majority side picked one guy, and the majority was upset because the underdog won. You know, so that happens in boxing. That's just to be overlooked in the fight, to me, is a part of boxing. I'm used to it. It doesn't bother me at all. I'm going to do what I know my mindset is set to do anyway. So it doesn't matter if anyone say, listen, don't take the fight, you're going to lose. It doesn't matter if everyone say, take the fight, you're going to win. My mindset won't change. It's going to be the same. And that's how I go into a fight.
Just curious of both your guys' opinions, taking Johnathon Banks out of the picture, where do you rank your fellow American heavyweights as far as overall skill and ability right now?
That question's to me?
Yeah, you can go ahead first, Johnathon.
The overall American heavyweights as far as who?
Yeah, just rank them top 5, you know, if you had to rank them, not putting yourself in there from, you know, just the top 5 guys, you know, because there's always so much, you know, people are always, you know, having the same names out there, you know, the Seth Mitchells, Deontay Wilders, you know, Bye-Bye Jennings, you know, Malik Scott, all those guys. Who in your opinion, from 1 to 5, would be the 5 best?
Think about it. That's who the American public see. They have to go off what they see. You could have a most talented heavyweight in the world sitting in the basement. if don't nobody see him, nobody's going to talk about him. So that's what the American public does. Everyone goes off what they see. If we see 5 talented guys in a row, every time we look on TV, we always see just those 5 talented guys. It's going to be someone to come from another whole planet to name the number 6 guy, because that's all we ever see is those 5 guys. So we really can't go no further, because that's all we see is those guys right there.
So, Jeff, you want to give me some names on there, Jeff, or anyone that you're really stoked about?
Well, I think that there's, I think that, of course, the Klitschko's have a strong hold on the heavyweight division and have had a strong hold for, seems like, forever. But one thing is this, is that there is some talented American heavyweights, but I also think that, once the Klitschko's, basically are done, and we no longer hear Vladimir, we no longer hear Vitaly, I think that a lot of these names, even with Johnathon Banks' name being included, all have a chance of becoming world champions, because I think the playing field starts to become a lot more even for everyone, and I think that anyone can upset anyone on any given night.
I agree.
So I think that I think, like I said, right now with the Klitschko's there, it's a waiting thing. It's a waiting thing to hopefully for them to retire, or for them to both have a bad night. But I think that the rest of the people out there, on any given night, anyone can be champion. Not just the Americans. I'm talking about even overseas with Tyson Fury, David Price. I think all these guys have a chance of being heavyweight champion of the world.
Right. Now, Jeff, the one thing. Oh, go ahead. Did you want to add on to that, Jonathan?
No, I agree 100% with Jeff, because at any given night, those top guys, the Wilders, the Jennings, the Price, the Furies, at any given night, one punch can make someone heavyweight champion of the world. I agree with him 100%.
Now, we were speaking of the Klitschko's, and Jeff, as one of the, I think one of the best trainers in the world, the one thing that's fascinating to me, I know Dewey Cooper does it, but that's on a different level. Johnathon Banks is still, obviously making his way up the ranks, one of the best fighters in the world, who's actually training the heavyweight champion of the world, and Vladimir Klitschko. That is absolutely blows my mind. Jeff, how difficult do you think that is to do for someone like Johnathon, who's still, very active in his own career?
Well, I don't know. I don't really say I don't know, because I can say Roger did the exact same thing. My brother Roger has trained people his whole entire life. Since he was a kid. Since Roger was about 13 years old, he was training, kids that were younger than him. And so even when he became champion of the world, he still would take time to train people. So I can kind of see, that part of Johnathon, that's just a part of him, and of course, when you're saying heavyweight champion of the world, that's got to be amazing. It's got to be amazing to train this guy, and also, still have a career of your own, but at the same time, it's like, wait a second, am I ever going to get a shot if this damn guy needs to leave? He needs to finish so I can get my turn. It's one of those things in which, it has its advantages and it has its disadvantages. But I think that, you can't, there's no way you can say that, everyone wants to be a heavyweight champion. Not only just a heavyweight champion, but a dominant heavyweight champion. He's gonna go down. This man is gonna go down in history.
Right. Who's making all that noise? Is someone in their garage going through some stuff, or what? Is that you, Jeff, or?
That's Ashley.
Is it
That
Ashley?
is not me. Jeff, what is up with that?
I one more thing I want to ask, and then we'll get you Ash in there because she hasn't spoken in a while. But Jonathan, real quick, just explain, what it was like taking over for the late Emmanuel Stewart. I know he was, really close to you, big shoes to fill. Was there ever any apprehension going into that taking over for him, and what's it been like working with Larry?
Well, first of all, when I first got the call about when he was sick in the hospital, the majority of the public didn't know how serious the situation was. But I knew it because how close I was to him. But when Vladimir called me and told me, he said, JB, I need you to be my coach for the next fight. And I just said, okay. He said, excuse me? I said, okay. He said, you have no questions? I said, no. What you want me to ask? I said, okay. He said, so you can handle this? I said, Vladimir, I've been around you for years. I know you inside and out. There's no problem. If you want me to do it, I do it. So, so that was the case. He said, okay, he wanted to know when can I come. And then he wanted to talk to me face to face. He said, this will not be no interference. You have a big fight coming up yourself. I said, I know what I have coming up. He said, you sure it won't be a problem? I said, listen, if I was training you for a golf tournament and I was getting ready for a fight, that would be a big issue for me. But I'm training you for a fight and I'm getting ready for a fight. We under the same ground. We wearing the same hats under the same tent. There's no problem, man. Let's go to work. And that's what it was. But to be in there and to actually do it, it was almost like a surreal moment because, I've been around trainers. I've been fortunate enough to learn how to train fighters for a very long time. And it's almost like a second nature to me when I have to put on the trainer's hat than the fighter's hat. And it was almost like a surreal moment because I'm like, I'm grasping the fact that this is the heavyweight champion of the world. Considered by many, it's the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. So it was a very, very surreal moment for me. But I couldn't jump for joy at the moment, so I was just taking it. I just took it as it comes, just doing what I knew to do, and I just took it from there. But it was a great feeling.
And it had to be really awesome, having the current world champion trusting you enough to handle his training camp.
Yeah, it was something else. The conversations we had, he told me, he said, JB, I have no doubt in my mind that you could do it. You got a guy, of course, they say he's the world champion, heavyweight champion of the world, and he got a big company. So I call him Suits. All his suits, in my opinion, was basically everybody was saying, dude, you crazy? You've been on top all these years. Now you can put your career in the kids' hands. Are you kidding me? What are you doing? But whatever I showed him, he liked it. Whatever he saw in me, he attached himself to it, and he had all the confidence in me that I could do the job. And I'm glad he did, because I had all the confidence I could do the job as well.
All right, Ashley, I'm going to let you jump in there. We haven't heard you for a while. I'm actually going to get Larry Holmes on the phone here right now. So Ashley, take over.
Well, I'm so glad you are on. And, I saw that you do fight a lot overseas, and I was just hoping that you could maybe talk a little bit about the difference in maybe the crowd and all the support that there is overseas. Because whenever I see a fight on TV, the pre-fight walk-ins and everything is so much bigger and better than what we see here.
Well, first of all, I want to say I love my American public because that's home. But
well, yeah, of course.
I believe the European fans, the overseas crowd. If you was to put a 12-round fight, it's a good competitive fight, but no one's got knocked down, no one's got knocked out. If you was to put that in Vegas, Atlantic City, New York, or California, or somewhere in Florida, then 9 times out of 10 you'll get a whole bunch of boos. You put it overseas, people are clapping and cheering because they just like the fact that two guys in there competing. So it's a different type of atmosphere, and the fans are so much more appreciative of the little things instead of just one big knockout. Because the American public has really been spoiled by a lot of talented fighters.
Right.
It's a big pedigree and big shoes that other fighters have to fill. Because we walking behind some huge shoes that probably would never be filled, but from a lot of the talented guys.
Right. All right, guys, let me jump in here to introduce, to bring back to the show one of the greatest heavyweight boxers of all time. Like I said, it's just an honor to have him on here. Larry Holmes, welcome to the show. Appreciate you joining us again. And sorry about all the problems we had getting you on tonight.
Hey, man, I'm sorry. You know, I went out for dinner with some people that was investors, and I couldn't really break away from the meeting. But anyway, I'm on the show now. I'm happy to be there. And say hi to Johnathon, and let's get it rolling.
No, yeah, Jonathan's on there. Well, speaking of Johnathon, and actually, Larry, I want this to be, you know, I don't want to start anything. I just want to be fun and have a lot of light stories and fun with you. But you made a comment, you know, Johnathon trains Vladimir Klitschko, and you made a comment last year that you thought if you trained 6 months that you could take either one of them out. Do you still feel that way? And, you know, listen, Johnathon, what do you think about that?
Well, hey, listen, when you get to be 63 years old, you say a lot of things you don't really mean. But, you know, sometimes, I would like to take a guy like Johnathon and train him to show him what to do, how to do it, so he could get rid of them guys over there. Because these guys don't use the jab too much, and they don't use, you know, and these guys, the Klitschko brothers, all they do is try to pause you with that jab, and then they throw the right hand. That's all they have. And if you give them a little feint here, a little feint there, stick that jab in their face with the right hand to the body, left hook on the head, hey, man, listen, that'll work, but you just can't let them guys bang you.
And Larry, what are your thoughts? I know you do commentating for boxing. What are your thoughts on Johnathon himself, his fighter, and you know where he's going? Boxing, the heavyweight division, excuse me, it's wide open. It's wide open for Johnathon. It's wide open for anybody who really want to fight. But a lot of the guys, you know, that some of the guys, I won't call it too much names unless you do it, don't want to fight. They get out there and they be doing good, but if it looks like they're going to have their hands full, they stop fighting. And you can't win a fight when you stop doing it. You got to fight. And when you go out there with a right hand and a left hook, and you sit back and look at him and say, it's going to be like that all night, you put fear in the guy's heart. Johnathon, what were your thoughts on Larry Holmes, you know, as far as his career goes, and have you patterned yourself in any way after him, you know, being one of the greatest heavyweights of all time?
Well, first of all, I want to say hello to Larry Holmes, one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. I met you, Larry Holmes, down in Eastern Pennsylvania, down in with Emmanuel. We met with Emmanuel. I think it was in one of your bars, I want to say. Mm-hmm. And but my thoughts on Larry Holmes, I think he's an extremely talented heavyweight. Like you say, one of the best heavyweights that was out there. And I mean, overall, I in a sense, of patterned myself after him as far as his jab, and as far as he started off in the World Heavyweight Champions, at the Heavyweight Champion of the World Training Camp, and I did the same thing. Started off in the Heavyweight Champion of the World Training Camp. He turned around and ended up fighting the champion. I don't know if that's going to happen for me. I ended up turning around and trading the champion. So I don't know where my fate lies as of right now. But as always, I take what comes my way. If that comes my way, we'll see what happens when I take it.
Hey, Johnathon, let me say this, man. Let me say this to you. Yeah, you know what? You take your way. You make your way. Don't let nobody else make your way. You go out there, you're in condition, you fight, and you don't give nobody nothing that you can't handle. I mean, that they can't handle. You don't want them to handle what you give them. And, these guys out here today, man, believe me, Johnathon, they can't fight, man. That's why I said I wish I could turn the clock back. But I can't do it. So what I can do is tell people like yourself how to do it. Use that jab, use that body punch, use the right hand, and don't take punches, man. Don't get hit trying to prove that you can take a shot, because that's what takes us out of what we need to do. And when we get out of boxing, we don't want people to say, damn, look what happened to Larry Holmes. Look what happened to Ali. Look at what happened to Joe Frazier. Look what happened to fighters. We want to go into the game without faculty. We want to come out that way. So you don't take prisoners, man. And, you know, sometimes we get the bold in us, and we do.
Yeah.
I'm telling you now, you don't. And get my films, man. Get my films, and you watch the jab, watch how I move, watch how I block, and don't take no punches. And if I can help you, man, Jonathan, I will do that too.
I appreciate it, Larry. I really do, man. Definitely.
Hey,
I definitely do.
Larry, go ahead, Jonathan. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, I appreciate it, man. I need all the wisdom I can get, man. Definitely.
Now, Larry, one of the criticism of your career, and we discussed it last time you were on,
nobody criticized me.
Well, it's not a criticism of you. It's actually a criticism of the competition. And the reason a lot of people, discredited at the time, and some even now, your legacy is because of the level of competition that you faced. They said that, you came at a time where there was no other great fighters to challenge you. The current generation gets a lot of that. Who are some of the up-and-comers that you really think have the potential to be the next heavyweight star?
Well, right here now, I don't know too many people, but, Jonathan, I used to think of a couple other guys had possibility, but they're lazy. But you know what? But no, it ain't nobody say they said I couldn't do it or whatever. But my level of competition was the level of competition that everybody has at the time that they're in it. I mean, there was good fighters when I was fighting. I mean, everybody. It's just that I was superior of most of those guys, all of those guys. There was nobody. Just you talk Ali, the Nortons, the Fraziers, and all those guys. If I was born when they was born, I would have been better than them. But unfortunately, I wasn't. So we take what we get, and that's what we got to do in the boxing. We can't, Jonathan. We can't worry about who's out there, and we got to go out there and roll them over.
Yeah, I agree.
We can't think about it. I mean, so what? Who wants to be the greatest? We don't want to be. We want to be the greatest at our time. Because I had a time, you had a time, Joe Louis had a time, Martha had a time, Joe Frazier had a time. Everybody got time, and you got to make your time.
Yes,
that's
sir.
what it is. So we ain't gonna worry about yesterday. We're gonna talk about today. And Jonathan is saying to me, as he said to me before, he gonna kick everybody's butt that he possibly can. He ain't gonna move away from nobody. He ain't running. They're gonna take the shot, and he's gonna do his thing. And that's what it's all about. He's ready for Freddie. Am I right, Jonathan?
You're right about that, Larry. You're absolutely correct.
They got to bring a butt to get a butt, don't they?
Yes, sir.
All right, then.
And having a heavyweight of the past and a current heavyweight fighter, one thing I'm interested in is, the disappearance of 15 rounds. Jonathan, is that something that you wish you were able to take part of? And Larry, thoughts on that? Would you like to still see 15-round fights?
No, I don't want to see 15 rounds. I don't even want to see 10 rounds. Because the less punches that these guys take is better for them. If they could get paid the same money for a 12-round, why fight 15? That's what I thought back then. We was fighting 15 rounds, man. And there were 15 rounds, we was dying fighting 15 rounds. And when they moved to 12, I said, boy, this is going to be a cakewalk, And even if they moved to 10 rounds now, it's still a cakewalk. But it's hard getting in the ring to fight one round. So, I know Jonathan say, if I can fight one round, I'm going to be champion of the world all day long, all the time. But, unfortunately, we run out of gas sometimes. We just lack of stamina. But if we could get $1 million for one round, that's what we want. We're not fighting because we want to be the heavyweight champion of the world. We're fighting to pay the rent.
And, Jonathan, your thoughts?
I don't know how much more you can say after that. But, I mean, Larry's absolutely correct, number one. I mean, I'm not pushing I don't have a magnifying glass looking around for 15 rounds. I'm really not. I mean, one thing he said is so true. The time you come up is the time you come up. There's nothing we could do about the time we come up. If I would have came up and said, you know what, our championship fight is going to be 10 rounds or 8 rounds, I just would have said, okay. I wouldn't protest and say, no, give me 12 rounds back. I wouldn't have protested it. So it's like whatever they do at the time, that's what you have to accept. And once your time is done, if you can look back and say, I did everything I could do doing my time, and someone else come along, that's just how time goes. Someone else is always going to come along and do something else. So you basically, to me, what I got out of what Larry saying, you have to do everything you can during your time. Because once it's over, you can't go back. Because once it's over, it's over.
It's over. Hey, Jonathan, Jonathan, how many kids you got?
I don't have any.
Huh?
I don't have any.
You don't have any? Well,
No,
that's
sir.
what you're fighting for anyway. If you don't have any, you know what I mean? You're fighting you're fighting for your kids that you don't have. You're fighting for your mama, your brother, your sister. You're fighting for yourself.
See, I come from a family of 10. I'm fighting for everybody.
That's right. He got pride. If he didn't have no pride, he wouldn't be in the ring fighting. He's got pride. He wants to show people that he can do what people say to him that he can't do or think that he can't do. He can do anything he want to do. Because they said the same thing about me. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. And I had to prove myself. And sometimes we get tired, Jonathan, of proving ourselves. Yeah. We just go on to do it. So that's what you need to do. Just go on and do it, man. These guys know how to get to me. You know how to get to me. Call me. If I can give you advice, I'll do it. I don't need no money. I ain't going to ask for no money. But, a lot of people don't want to give you nothing unless you give them some money. But meanwhile, you do the things that you got to do. Any questions? I'm going to give you some free advice right now, Jonathan. Don't run for 5 days a week. Take off Sundays and take off Wednesdays. Don't run for 5 days a week. Don't box every day of the week. Don't box. Don't box. When you do box, don't box 7 rounds, 8 rounds, maybe 6 rounds. Okay, every now and then, 7 rounds or 8 rounds. But you don't need to box and take those punches. And don't let nobody hit you. If they hit you, it's lucky. They're lucky.
Hey, Larry, I want to introduce you. The last time you were on the show, she wasn't part of the show. She's been a co-host now for a few weeks with us. Her name is Ashley Ferrara. She's I believe the only ring card girl currently who's also a law student. She graduated from Yale, but we brought her on. She's early 20s. Oh, she's gorgeous. And believe this or not, Larry, we asked her who her favorite boxer was, and she said Larry Holmes. So that's why we had to.
She's the lawyer. She's smart.
That's right. And she had a couple questions that's been burning for a while with her. So I'm going to let her ask you a couple questions of you so she can get these answers and her life can be complete. So,
great,
Ashley.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's an honor for me to just be talking with you. And whenever I have the boxing surveys and they ask me who my favorite boxer is, I always say it to you. So not just because you're on tonight, just because it always is. But I heard a rumor, and this I thought was so cool. I heard a rumor that you have a pool in the shape of a boxing glove. Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, you want to come swim in it?
I do.
You're my wife. You're my wife to go swimming up and down the pool. My kids. Yeah. Well, we got 2 pools. We got one indoor, and we got one outdoor. But you know what? Me and my wife. I'm 63 years old, and most of my kids, we just became a grandfather, and my kids are out. Only one is here is my son, and he stays outside. So we got this big house, big 20,000 square feet house.
Wow.
And it's just me and my wife and my 2 dogs, and I told her that we're gonna start to sell this house. It's too big it's too big for us. So we're going to find something smaller, and that way you won't have a pool, so you better come on down real quick so you can swim in the pool.
I know. I want to. What kind of dogs do you have?
I got 2 cute dogs, and they're Maltese, and they're called Lexus and Mercedes because at one point I had a Mercedes and I had a Lexus, so I traded. So I'm going to trade my dogs in for 2 new ones.
On the bed.
So they're Maltese. They're small dogs. They just bark out. That's all they do.
Now, was it your idea to get those kind of dogs, or was it your wife's idea to get those kind?
Well, I got them because I didn't want nothing too big because it might bite me. If these dogs bite me, it's not going to hurt me.
Man, you wouldn't think that you would be nervous about a dog. I would imagine those dogs are scared of you.
Oh, they are. When I holler at them, they especially when they mess up on the floor, you know.
Ashley, what was the question you had about the phone?
Oh, well, my other question for you, I've seen the, Larry versus Muhammad, and I saw that awesome car phone that you used to have. I was just wondering if you...
I don't think you was born then, were you? Yeah, I got a regular phone. I got one of those iPhones, the i4.
I'm kind of disappointed to hear that. That thing was pretty awesome.
I tell you, it was really neat. And at that time, I'm the only one probably in my city had a phone like that.
Yeah, no, that it looked pretty space age for the time.
It was. But I'm glad you took notice of all that stuff. And, we had the movie out 30 for 30. You can watch that. That's pretty good, too. But it got a lot of the documents.
Well, you know what one really bugs me? When they do the 10 greatest heavyweights, and Bert Sugar puts you as 10th. I think he got the shaft.
He was drinking when they said that. I was drunk at one of my bars.
Larry, do you rank yourself, Larry? And if so, where would you put yourself?
Well, I'm not fair. I'm not fair. I'm number one. I'm number one.
Yeah.
Come on. Where you want me to put myself? Number 200? I got to say number one, even though I might not have been number one. It's my modest touch. Because Muhammad said he's the greatest. And in my opinion, he wasn't. If you really want me to spread that down, I got to go with the Joe Louis, man. I got to go with Joe Louis, and first I got to go with a guy by the name of Jack Johnson.
See, now those are fighting words with Jeff there, because I believe Jeff has Muhammad Ali as his number one of all time, right, Jeff?
Come on, Jeff. I thought I was.
Yeah, well,
Give me my money back.
He had you as the most underrated of all time, so you got number one on that list.
Hey, Jeff, send me my money back, will you?
Well, it's fine, because two of us outnumbers one of him, so we win.
All right.
Hey, I also want to welcome to the show real quick. I want to welcome Charles from the 908. He's a loyal listener and follower, so I want to welcome him on. Charles, welcome to the show. And do you have a question for Jonathan or Larry?
Thank you. Thanks for just putting me on. Larry, oh, my God. He's one of my favorite fighters.
First of all,
you can't say one of your favorite. He has to be your favorite.
Yeah. Because I'm going to ask you what 908 means.
That's the area code. I don't know what that is.
New Jersey.
Huh?
Just the area code in New Jersey.
Oh, that's the area code in New Jersey. Where you live at in New Jersey?
Sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir. It's
Where
just
you
an
live
honor to get to speak to you. I'm sorry?
Where you live at in New Jersey?
Washington.
Washington?
About, close to Easton.
Oh, yeah, you're only 20 miles down the road.
Yes, sir.
And you never been into my bar yet. I don't understand that, man.
Yeah, I have, but it was...
You got to come down to
there
Chubb's
about a year
Corner.
ago.
Does that mean he doesn't
About
get
a year ago.
then?
Yeah, listen, I don't care if you come down. Now, bring the young lady down. And she'll bring the guys with her.
Pool party at Larry's.
Come
Hey,
down
John.
to Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I want to get back to Jonathan in 1 second here, but first, Jeff, I want to come to your defense here. Notice how Ashley's insisting that Larry be mentioned as the greatest of all time. But when we asked about trainers, she had nothing for you. She didn't think you were even one of the best. So what's up with that?
No, I don't train fighters. I don't train fighters. But guess what? I know fighting. I know how to fight. I know how to train myself. And if I can get what I done into a fighter, he got to be right. That's why I said to him, don't run 4 or 5 miles. Don't train 7 days a week. Don't get up real early to run. Get your rest and then go run. Because you run better when you're not tired. That's what I can tell a fight. I know that. And if you don't do that, you go out and fight. I used to get up 5, 6 o'clock in the morning and run. And run 4 or 5 miles. For what? Because I'm tired after that. It's not good. You got to save your energy. You got to have something to fight with. I know those things.
Hey, Jeff, what are your thoughts on running? I know Mo was talking to Jim last week that he's not a big runner. What are your thoughts on running and how much a boxer should do?
I mean, I think that a fighter should run maybe 4 to 5 weeks. I mean, you got to let your body rest, just like Larry said. I mean, you got to let your body rebuild. So, I mean, I think really as long as you're running, you know, for endurance and you're running probably 5 or 6 miles, I mean, it's probably best that you run like maybe 4 times a week.
That's right. Listen, horses don't run 4 miles when they get in for the race, ready for the race. If you run 2.5, 3 miles, that's enough. If you run it 5 days a week, that's enough because you're going to be training, and you're going to be jumping rope, and you're going to be exercising, you're going to be boxing, and you're going to be eating the right food. And if you burn it up, you ain't going to have nothing to fight with. You got to save some energy. And not only that, let me tell you another thing that I did, okay? And I don't want to mess up nobody's mind, but every day before a fight, every time I fought a fight, I had a Budweiser. No, seriously. I don't, you know, it's a comp.
That won't work for everybody.
Yeah, well, you know why? You know why it will work? Because you're putting back your energy in your body. You know, don't get drunk and stuff like that now. You know what I mean? Just take a little bit of that, build that carb up. You got to build that carb up. And you, listen, if I didn't do that before the Ken Norton fight, I wouldn't have been heavyweight champion of the world.
Well, hey, Jonathan, you mentioned earlier that you'd met Larry Holmes before in Easton. Tell us that story. How'd you end up in Easton?
Well, I was in Poconos with Emmanuel Stewart. And I think we was in camp with Vladimir. Emmanuel training Vladimir. We was together. And Emmanuel said, Jonathan, I'm about to go down to Easton to see my cousin. I'm like, your cousin? Emmanuel, what cousin got to Easton? He said, Larry Holmes. I said, what? That's your cousin. He said, yeah. I said, oh, come on, let's go. And I drove. I drove him down to Easton to see Larry. I've been to the house he was talking about with the pool, shaped as a boxing glove. And I also want to tell Larry, before you sell a house, you don't have to sell it. I'll be more than happy to come down and take one of the rooms. And you know, but it was a nice situation. They had a barbecue the next day. It was a really nice affair, man. It was a really nice house, and the whole everything. It was just, I was overwhelmed to be there because then in the bar he had his belts in the trophy case. Ernie Shaver was one of my top fighters, and to see when I was younger, to see that fight, and Larry Holmes is the reason. Well, Ernie Shaver, should I say, is the reason I don't throw a right leg uppercut because of what happened in that particular fight. But to see as hard hitting as Ernie Shaver was, Larry Holmes was that much better because he endured that shot. He got up and he beat him, and it seemed like he beat him a little bit easier after he got up off the canvas. But it was just a surreal moment for me because I love boxing and I love looking at the history of boxing, and to be there from Larry Holmes was like a surreal moment for me.
I tell you, man, that is, you know what, that is great because we have to learn from each other. I learned from Muhammad Ali. I learned from Joe Frazier. I watch all the Joe Louis pictures. I watch the Marciano's pictures, and I watch people. I can say names like Ernie Shavers. I was his sparring partner, man. Ernie Shavers used to beat me up every day, you know.
Wow.
And I said, man, you know, but I learned how to fight, and that's how you learn. You learn with guys who are better than you, but not trying to kill you every day. But unfortunately, Ernie Shavers was trying to kill you because he couldn't help but to hit home. But that's how you learn, man. And once you learn it, they can't take it away from you. You know, so you know, if you go out there and you run every day, 5 miles a day, you're gonna kill yourself. You go out there and run 5 times a week, you're gonna save energy. If you eat the right kind of food, you're gonna save energy. You don't go on a diet. You got to do what you got to do to keep that energy in your body, because without energy, you don't have no strength to perform your duty, and you can do it. Listen, I'm telling you, man, boxing is easy. You eat right, eat the good food. Don't eat a whole bunch of junk that you shouldn't eat, and have a beer every now and then. That's gonna help you. They're gonna build your carb up, man. I swear to God, you try it. It'll build your and don't run. Listen, racehorses don't run 5 miles. You know what I mean? Don't run 5 miles. You know, so you run 2-3 miles. You run 2 miles. You get tired, walk. Again, you feel good, run again. You get tired, walk. You know, I'm telling you, man. What God? Listen, kept me. I was heavyweight champion for 7.5 years. I mean, if I can't tell you right, who can?
Hey, Larry, speaking of Ernie Shavers, one thing also I'm interested in, you fought both him and Mike Tyson. Those are two guys that are commonly mentioned as far as the hardest punchers of all time. Compare those two. Who hits harder of those, and anyone else you want to throw in that discussion that you have personal ties with?
I love both of them guys. I love them. I was with Mike Tyson a couple of months ago in Las Vegas. He hugged me. Larry, I love you. I love you. And I said, man, if you love me, why you hit me like that, then, you know?
I had that video, and I want to interrupt you real quick, Larry. I actually, it's on our YouTube channel. If you go to our YouTube channel, I actually filmed that when you talked to Mike, and that was great.
Okay.
And that was a great moment between you two. But carry on.
Yeah. Mike is a good guy, and he hits good. But Ernie Shavers, I still feel it. 30 years later, Mike Tyson hits hard, but Ernie Shavers hits harder. And listen, he had 50-something knockouts right in a row, you know. I mean, that's just to show you, you know. Ernie Shavers, Mike hits hard, but not like Ernie Shavers.
Now, Jeff seems to think that he should be thrown in that conversation, at least when you talk about pound for pound, that he's one of the hardest hitters of all time.
You should keep thinking that. Right. You should keep thinking that you're the hardest, and then nobody can take what you give them, and you know you're going to put the pressure on them. And if you hit a guy with a right hand and a left hook, you step back and look at him and say, it's going to be like that all night. He'll quit.
Hey, also, you know, the Madison Square Garden, tell us about fighting there. I know they just had a little celebration there. You know, you had a big fight there, I know, with Mike Weaver and that kind of stuff. Tell us about performing there in that venue, because they're, you know, kind of bringing that back with boxing now.
Well, you know, when I fought Mike Weaver, man, in Madison Square Garden, I was sick. I had the flu and everything else, man, and I shouldn't have took that fight, you know. But Mike Weaver ain't nothing. I can take it, but that's where you go wrong, man. Selling, taking him in lightly. I took him lightly. Because I was sick, I thought I could beat him. And I did beat him, but you know what? He hit me when he shouldn't have hit me. And then it took me 11 rounds to set him up for the punch. But it was a good fight. He was a hard fight. Mike Weaver was Hercules, strong, and determination. But he fell short. It was a good fight. Can't knock it.
Anything special about that venue that you know you really liked, or was it just another place to fight for you?
Well, you know, it's always something when you fight in the Madison Square Garden, because just remember the great fighters fought in Madison Square Garden. You know, all the Alis, the Fraziers, the Nortons, the Lewis, and everybody fought in Madison Square Garden. So you know, you want to say New York, Madison Square Garden. I fought there. Yeah, and that's what it is about.
All right, and I've got one more for each of you, and then if Ash or Jeff have anything to add, we can do it real quick. But first with you, Larry, just tell us what it's like. You know, you're working with Wealth TV. How's the transition to be a commentator? Do you enjoy what you're doing, and do you have anything lined up with them?
Yeah, well, you know, I work with Wealth TV. Wealth TV is great, but I also have my own TV show, which I had for like 7 years. It's with the local TV station, my own show called What the Heck Were They Thinking, you know? So anybody who do something wrong and make mistakes, or they don't make mistakes, they do something stupid, I talk about them. What the heck were they thinking? Like when a guy gets drunk and comes out of the bar, knows he's going to get a ticket if he drives that car because he's drunk, I want to know what the heck is he thinking? You know, if they lock him up, what the hell do they expect, you know? So
or when some guy goes up to a fight and he's drunk, you know what they're thinking. Larry Holmes told him to have a beer, right?
No, if a beer gets you drunk, you don't need to drink that beer.
All right. And then, Jonathan, with you, just the other fight I didn't talk about it with, the one blemish on your career is with Tomas Adamek. That was at cruiserweight. Is that a fight you'd like to avenge at some time? Would you like to climb back in the ring with him, and how do you think that would shape up now?
Man, of course. I think any fighter that's a true fighter that lost a fight will want to avenge that loss. And I think it was the thing about it. The fight was good. It wasn't like the majority of Adamek fights. He take over after the first round, and it's fair dominance from Bell 1 till he ends the fight. It wasn't like that. I thought, in my opinion, it was a good fight. He didn't dominate from the beginning, but the fight, like you said, was a cruiserweight, and I would love to have that fight at heavyweight.
Hey, Jonathan, can I say something? This is what I do for you. You're only about an hour away from me, hour and a half, I don't know. You still up there in Jersey?
No, I'm in Detroit.
Oh, you're in Detroit now.
No, that's Charles is in Jersey.
You're in the bombing capital. You're in the bombing capital of the world, bro. Tommy Hearns.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, man. But if I can have you for 2 hours, to show you how to jab, show you how to punch with the right hand, and show you little tricks, you ain't gonna have no problem. The whole thing about boxing is the left hand, and the next lesson is to know how to tie him up and to fool him, to trick him, and to do what you want him to do. And now I can show you that, but you in Detroit, I don't know when I'm gonna get back up that way. But you in Detroit. And if I could get you, man, one of these days, when I get there, I'm going to call you. I'm gonna get you. Don't worry about the numbers if I get it. I'm going to show you how to do that, I will show you, because they don't know how to do it, man. You slap the shit out of them with that jab. And they're going to get tired of them, then you're going to knock them out with the right hand. Believe me.
Okay.
I can teach you that.
It would be my pleasure for you to do that.
Well, if you want, Larry, I'll text you.
Yeah.
If it's all right, Jonathan, I'll text you his number if you want. That's all right, both of you.
There you go.
Take care of that.
All right. Okay.
All right. Charles, you got anything else before we wrap things up?
Hey, tell the young lady goodbye, good night.
No. She's still here. She's going to talk to you in a second, Larry. I'm making the rounds. Charles, do you have anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to find out from Larry, how did he get into boxing? Like, how did it all start?
Well, the reason why I was hungry, man. I was on welfare from Georgia. I dropped out of school. We didn't have nothing. My mama and daddy, they were sharecroppers. When we came here to Pennsylvania, my dad left my mom, left her with 11 brothers and sisters, and we had to fetch for ourselves. And then I dropped out of school to do that, and there was nothing there but football, boxing, and wrestling. And then I had to go to school to do the football and the wrestling, so boxing was open. I took that, got beat up and got beat up and got beat up, but I learned how to fight, and that's how I got into boxing.
And
boxing.
And Ashley, I don't know what will beat an invitation to go swimming in a pool shaped like a boxing glove, but do you have anything else for Jonathan and Larry as we wrap things up?
No, I just want to say thank you again, and
Hey.
I better come watch. I better come swim in the pool before you sell the house. So don't sell it too quickly.
Are you? Where are you at? Where are you?
Right now, I'm in Oklahoma. So.
Where are you out in Oklahoma?
Yeah.
I know it. Well, I grew up on the East Coast and then lived in Houston for a while, and am now going to law school at OU. So that's why I'm here right now. But I'm in my last semester, so I won't be here for much longer.
Okay, but listen, he give you my number. If you need to call me for anything, please do.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Oh, you are.
Now you're going to have a stalker, Larry, and your wife's going to get mad at you.
No, my wife is right by 33 years I've been married. We've been together about 36 years. We ain't going nowhere. We stuck on each other.
Oh, and I have a quick more question for each of you both, too. Larry, yeah, you're still in Easton, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
You know, you're one of the greatest boxers of all time. What made you stick in a small town like that as opposed to moving to the big city?
That's why I don't feel married, because there's nothing for us to do but stay together. It settles you. I'm around all my friends. In Hollywood, I got to be all over the place. I can't live in Detroit because when I trained in Detroit for the fights and stuff, well, you know, I had too many opportunities to get in trouble.
and then, Jonathan, the one thing I wanted to mention to you, you know, it's I mention almost every show. I'm from, you know, a really rough area, Walled Lake, there in the Detroit area. How are those boxers there? And you know, when they come into the gym there, do they, you know, are they pretty scary as opposed to Detroit guys?
Who's scary?
What's that?
He said, is who scary compared to Detroit?
The Walled Lake fighters. I mean, I know it's a really tough area where I come from in Walled Lake. Or, you know, what? Jeff, why does everybody laugh at me when I mention Walled Lake being tough?
Walled Lake is a city. Oh my goodness, man! Nothing happens in Walled Lake but shopping. That's all that happens up there, man.
Well, maybe it changed when I was there. It was a really tough city. You know, we had a lot of, you know, it was a really tough place.
What are you talking about? Was tough. It's still tough. Detroit crazy.
Detroit is tough, but Walled Lake is so far outside the city. The only thing ever happened there is somebody stole a piece of gum. And that probably didn't happen.
See, that was probably me when I grew up. We were tough.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, Jeff.
All right, guys. Jeff, we'll see you guys, man. Take care.
Yeah, Jeff, we'll let Larry go here, Jeff. Final words?
All right, Jeff. Take care. All right.
Thanks for coming on.
Jeff Mayweather, it's a pleasure, man. Definitely. I think you're one of the top trainers in the world, man. It's a pleasure to be on your show.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And continue
I appreciate that.
Watch it.
Yeah.
Thank
Real
you.
quick, you know, thanks so much to Larry Holmes joining us before we let Jonathan go here. Anything as a trainer, been around in business a long time, you know, he's been around one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time, Emmanuel Stewart, but any words of wisdom you have to offer him as far as the training goes? Jeff, are you there?
Oh, what, me?
What the hell? No, the other Jeff.
That man already, he already know how to train. He trained the heavyweight champion of the world. He don't need me. He don't need my advice.
Yeah, let me rephrase that. Jonathan, do you have any tips for Jeff as far as training goes?
I would tell something to Jeff, because Jeff Mayweather is one of the only, it may have been one more, but I can't recall it. He's one of the only trainers that ever made Emmanuel Stewart nervous. The only one. Because he knew for a fact, to see, in my opinion, when you got two good fighters that always stick to the trainer's regimen, it's not about the fighters no more. It's all about whatever trainer picks the best workout or picks the best regimen for that fighter for that particular night. And Emmanuel knew for a fact that he was going up against Jeff Mayweather. That's the only time he was ever nervous in going into a fight, when it comes down to the corner of the opponent. Because regardless of whatever people say, the corner means so much in a fight. The corner, the trainer can make a good fighter great and make a great fighter a legend on that particular night. And I believe Jeff Mayweather is one of those trainers that could do that.
Thank you.
My pleasure, man. Definitely my pleasure.
Hey, you know, and I've said last thing like 50 times here, but I do have one more thing I want to ask. You know, about Kronk Gym, you know, we had Tommy Hearns and Milt McCrory on a while talking about it, but what would you like to see happen with the gym, and what do you think is going to happen with it, and how involved do you see yourself staying there long term, or what?
Well, I plan on being as involved as I possibly can. I see the gym maybe, I don't know how much longer, but this year the Kronk Gym, it will be a reopening of the Kronk Gym. And we will, the goal is to start grooming amateurs so they can become well-groomed professionals. And I think that's what USA Boxing is missing in its entirety. Well-groomed amateurs become well-groomed professionals. You may have 100 fighters. You may be able to get 9. You may be able to get 8 or 9 that wasn't well-grown amateurs that became good professionals. You may. And that's a long shot. All of our historic guys that became legendary had a good amateur background, and they grew to become a great professional. And I think that's once the boxing get back to that, I think we will be once again the leaders of boxing. in heavyweight division.
And do you think Tommy Hearn is the guy to lead the gym?
I think he's one of them. I mean, you can't take away what he does in the gym. In the ring, you can't take away the work he put in. He's one of the guys that had a good amateur background. Started off as a Kenny Skid, didn't know how to fight, and he became legend. That nights in the ring, he became legendary, and you can't take that away from him.
All right, guys, we appreciate it. Charles, we're going to go do the little round here. And Charles, tell the folks where I know you have your own website and do your own thing, so tell the folks where they can keep up with you.
Oh, on Twitter it's CK0510, and I write for Team Left Jab. And I just appreciate you guys putting me on. And Jonathan, I hope you get better quick. I want to see you beat Seth again.
Thank you. I want to see it too.
Ashley, appreciated.
All right, and to Ashley, go real quick, tell the folks where they can keep up with you and what you got going on.
This weekend I'll be in Oklahoma City, and I'll be ring carding Lydell's fight. So I'll definitely keep you guys updated on that. You can find me on Twitter at Ashley Ferreira or on Instagram at Ashley Ferreira Model. So any of those is great, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, and then Jonathan, what about you?
Well, while I'm resting and healing up, you can follow me on Twitter at Johnathon Banks. You can follow me on Facebook at Johnathon Banks. I have an Instagram, but I can't think of the name of it. But, Google me. I'm everywhere, man. Johnathon Banks, I'm everywhere. I look forward to performing. Once I heal up, I look forward to performing another fight on our HBO.
All right, and you can follow Jeff Mayweather because he never remembers. Jeff Mayweather 1 on Twitter. And then, of course, check out our website, ProBoxingInsider.com. Thanks so much to Larry Holmes. Pleasure having him on here as always. And Jonathan, hopefully you get well quickly and look forward to seeing you back in action real soon. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us tonight.
And don't forget to give Larry Holmes my number so you can contact me.
I will do that. And Jeff, well, you can't go. Jeff's got to excuse you. He does a little customary booting you off the show every week. So, Jeff, go ahead.
Why?
Nothing too fancy, just buy. So thanks a lot, Jonathan. Like I said, appreciate it, and then looking forward to seeing you again real soon. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us tonight. And I will take care of that with Larry for you, Jonathan. All right, guys, next week we'll have another great show. Look forward to seeing you again. Regular time, 7 p.m. West Coast time. We had a special time tonight, so back to normal time next week. Super Ashley for our Jeff Mayweather and Charles from New Jersey. We'll talk to you all next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.